Yes, Joe.
You down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blues.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are watching us from and whatever day. Welcome to Blue Sunday, proudly brought to you by the boys at the Jumper Punch. My name is Bangkok Joe, and joining me in Melbourne is former president of the Carltonians, life member of the Carlton Football Club, Big Vincenz. How are you today, Vince?
I'm pretty well, Joe. I've brushed back just in time. From the
if only the people knew, Vince, that you just got in with about 10 seconds to go.
But, well, I'm here, aren't I? So that's what it matters, I suppose.
Not complaining. So you obviously just come from the game, have you, Vince?
I have, and in fact, before we even start, I just want to give a big shout out to a couple of.
Oh, here we go. This is the Big Vincenz Cheerio show.
Oh well, I sat with them there in the Shane Warne stand, and we all had a bit of a chin wag, and we've become, we realised how many mutual friends we've got on Facebook and all that sort of thing, and the boys are going to be watching us tonight, and also on the Jumper Punch on Tuesday. Rushdie. And also Naz, who I met today at the footy. It was terrific to meet them, and hopefully we meet up again before too long. Hopefully in September when Carlton starts playing finals, because I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to be there. And after today's big 10-goal win over Richmond, I think we can lick our lips and look forward to a top 2 spot. And in fact, we're the only top 4 side this weekend to have won our match. The Sydney Swans, Collingwood and Essendon all lost. So we've certainly made up 4 points on all of them, plus a bit of percentage, I would have thought. So Vince, looking good, looking very good for at least top 4. And, we're right in the top 2 positions at the moment.
Vince, before we do anything, comment on this, please.
Enzo Valentino. How are you, buddy? I see you've converted Tanya to a Blue supporter. Yes, Tanya wears all the Carlton gear at the Carlton matches. This is one of the reasons why I've sometimes been roped in to wear an Essendon scarf or an Essendon cap when we go to watch Essendon play, because that's actually her team. This is her version of, just doing the right thing by each other. Oh, sorry about that.
That's Tanya. That was Tanya smacking the camera.
That wasn't Tanya hitting me over the head. That
was the Essendon Ghosts.
No,
that was Jimmy Hurd.
That was my phone charger going berserk on me. Anyway, that's what I get roped into doing sometimes. But Tanya puts on all the Carlton gear for Carlton matches. How do you make any sense of that? I don't know, because to me it's like oil and water. They just don't mix, whether it's Carlton and Essendon or Carlton and Collingwood or even Carlton and Richmond. But anyway, that's how some people think.
You will never see me wearing an Essendon or Collingwood. I would never. It wouldn't. It'd feel unnatural. Anyway, Vince, let's get rid of some administration. As I have said to you, everyone knows we are a Facebook / YouTube show. So if you want to look at us on Facebook, You can find us at Blue Sunday. Please subscribe. It's free. And you can also find us at The Jumper Punch. And we are at The Jumper Punch YouTube channel. So smash that like, share, and subscribe with all the Carlton supporters. The more people on, the merrier. Next.
Well, I can tell you those two boys will have subscribed already, because I was showing Rushdie how to get to the Jumper Punch channel on YouTube, and I said, well, for starters, you can press that subscribe button because it doesn't cost you anything, and now you can get all the notifications of our shows. So
exactly. And
it was a bit of fun, by the way, last Tuesday night with the boys on the Jumper Punch. So
is this show all about you? Is this all about you, Vince?
Yeah. 20 minutes or whatever it lasted. So it was good fun catching up with the guys again and having a bit of fun.
Welcome to the Vince Loccisano Hour, starring Vince Loccisano. Anyway.
Hey, Joe, by the way, did you see how they promoted our show on the Jumper Punch?
No.
Don't forget to tune into Blue Sunday, hosted by Vince Loccisano and Joe Luzza, and they've got some other bloke on it.
Who's the other bloke, I wonder? Don't know.
I think we'll be introducing him very, very shortly.
We will. Just quickly, the show is proudly brought to you by my tour company, Retired Working For You Tours. So if you need to look at our website, it's www.rwforutours.com, or feel free to send me an email, info@rwforutours.com. Peter V. Bluebagger, yeah, I'm feeling very neglected. Very anyway.
Well,
never.
Come to Melbourne and we'll give you a bit of love.
Well, funny you should say that. I booked an airline ticket the other day. I'm coming back in September. I wonder why. No, actually, September
wouldn't have anything to do with the finals, would it?
Well, I booked it on the. I was planning to do it even before we looked like making the finals, because I haven't been in Melbourne for a grand final for 11 years. But it'll make it all that sweeter if we make it. Anyway, Vince,
there's a very good chance we'll be there, Joe. Very good.
That other bloke is waiting in the background for us. Okay. Apparently that other bloke played for us. Don't remember him, do you?
Yeah,
do you remember him?
He was a reasonable player. He didn't do too badly in a grand final back in about 1987, but we'll get him on and see what he's got to say anyway.
I thought he played for the Swans.
Anyway. He did, but then he saw the light, and when they didn't pay him on time, he got out of his contract, and all of a sudden came over to the bright side of the road.
He had an epiphany. Anyway, the man we're talking about is Mr. David Rhys-Jones. How are you, David?
Yes, very good, thanks. And after a great win like that again today, it was a little bit hard fought early, but they got on top. But Vince. Now, Vince, you're an epitome of a bloke who to wear Essendon clothing to get a roof is bloody, it just shows what us blokes are like.
It's so painful. Let me tell you, it's so painful.
Yeah.
Apparently he doesn't, David.
Doesn't wear it or doesn't get it.
I've told her it's not.
Doesn't get it. Well, that's what Tanya tells me when we're sleeping together anyway. Anyway,
I reckon Tanya could just about flick over to your area in September anyway. I don't think she's going to be needed around finals time. I think the Bombers
come and do my job.
I think the Bombers are on the way out, and I'm hoping
she can come and do my job.
She even said the way we're going, we've lost 3 out of our last 4. We'll probably be lucky to make the 8 the way we're going. They do.
I think
there's a good chance they'll slide out
in the second half of the season. They normally.
We can only hope. Hey, before we go on, David, give it a plug. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, look, this is the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association of Victoria, who I'm an ambassador for, and anyone who wants to donate some money, we've actually anyone who donates $15 or more, in the 15 for 15, so it's the number 15 FOR15.com.au. Jump on there, donate $15, and you go in the draw to win a 7-night holiday up on the Sunshine Coast, so which has been kindly donated by some good friends of mine, which their apartment up there, which they rent out. And so your chance to win that if you donate $15 or more. So just go to www.15, the number 15 for FOR, and the number 15 again.
And Vince wants to do the challenge again. He wants to eat another 15 arancini. Well, David and I do anyway. Kept him quiet for 15 minutes. Anyway, Vince.
So long as people donate, I don't mind. I'll do it again if you want.
No, that's all right. You were there today. Tell us. Go for it.
Well, of course, we can see there that the final score is 20 goals, 11, 131 to Carlton. Richmond 10-10-70, basically a 10-goal victory. As Rhys said, the first half was, quite keenly contested, and they really did keep themselves in the game, Richmond. Only the 2 goals in it at half time. A pretty tight first quarter, but then in the third quarter, we almost revived those memories of the 1980s where we slammed on multiple goals in the third quarter. We used to call them the premiership quarter. And we kicked 7 goals, 1 to Richmond's 1 goal 4. And that really did blow the game wide open. And like a good side should, we didn't just take the foot off the pedal and just say, oh, well, we'll just be happy with this. Or even if they get back a few goals, oh, well, we'll just go in with a comfortable win. We kept the pedal to the metal and kicked another 6 goals, 2 in the last quarter to their 3 goals 4, and ended up running out 10-goal victors. Really impressive performance by Carlton. And, the goals were shared around as well. I think you could see there by the end of the match, they were all hopping in to get their fair share of goals, weren't they, Rhys?
Even you kicked the goal, Vince.
I beg your pardon?
Even you kicked the goal. There, he's gone. See? I was going to say even Vince kicked the goal. I don't know what's wrong with him.
No, I don't know what's happening there. He's
you're back, Vince. You dropped out and you're back.
Why did I drop out for? I don't know.
I don't know. It's called the internet.
Yeah, I know. It's driving me bananas here. Anyway, Carlton goal kickers. Can you believe Orazio Fantasia, 4 goals straight? That's it. I reckon he's guaranteed his spot on the side for the next 5 years.
He can throw that photo away.
He's done nothing for the first 15 rounds, and he's always kept getting the game. So imagine what he's going to get when he kicks 4 goals.
He'll get dropped. 4 goals. Good. He'll get managed.
It was good to see him getting amongst the goals. 4 goals. Fogarty, a really good performance to kick 3 goals straight. And then, of course, the Twin Towers down there, Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow got 2 goals each. Chincotta chipped in with 2 last quarter goals. Walsh also kicked 2 goals on the run. Beautiful goals they were. Kennedy kicked 1, Owies 1, Williams 1, Cripps 1, and Hollands, as in Elijah Hollands, kicked 1. And for Richmond, their only multiple goal scorer was Koshitsky with 2, and they had singles to Baker. What's going on here?
The David Rhys-Jones hotline.
Oh, right. Koshitsky with 2. Baker, Mansell, Nankervis, Sonzi, and Taranto all kicked 1 goal each for the Tigers. And, I forgot about Bolter as well. Noah Bolter kicked 3 goals for Richmond. So Bolter with 3, Koshitsky 2, Baker, Mansell, Nankervis, Sonzi, and Taranto all kicked 1 goal each. So they were the goal kickers.
Take us through the stats. I didn't have enough time to highlight where we won, but I'm sure you can tell them.
No, that's fine. These were the stats where there was a bit of a difference between the 2 sides. You know what was really interesting, Joe? One of the stats you won't see. What have you done here? I don't know if you sure that's clearances?
I think
you got the wrong name there. But anyway, disposals, you can see there that Carlton had 64 more disposals and dominated with both kicks and handballs. Uncontested possessions, we were far more dominant, getting the ball on the outside a lot more, 246 to 200. The contested possessions were actually quite close. Marks, we had 102 marks to 78, including 12 contested marks to 8 and 90 uncontested marks to 70. So you can see there that we really did dominate possession. Because time in possession was, in fact, 46 minutes to us, 38 to them, and the remaining minutes were all where the ball was in dispute. So then you've got
Forget the clearance
that should be percentage. By the way, that should be possession percentage.
Yeah.
Hit-outs 48. Now this is the one area that Richmond dominated. Hit-outs were 48 to 25. I think you'll find, Joe, that's not quite right. I don't think that's clearances, but anyway.
No, that's forget that.
A different
it actually is, but it's around the wrong way. I actually stuck that one in. But anyway, keep going. Tackles.
Okay, I think you'll find it's a totally different one. My understanding was that the clearances, both stoppage clearances and centre clearances were basically equal for both sides. So I'm not sure what that stat is. You'll have to have another look at that one. Tackles 59 to 44, including 14 inside 50 to Carlton, 12 inside 50 to Richmond, and the rest were around the ground. Inside 50 efficiency, we were more efficient than they were, 53% to 43%. And the reason you get those percentages is we had 31 scoring shots from our 58 inside 50 entries, and they only had the 20 scoring shots, kicking 10 goals, 10, from their 47 inside 50 entries. So we had more inside 50 entries, and we got a lot more scoring shots from them. Shooting accuracy also, you can see there we kicked 20 goals, 11. So that's a 65% accuracy rate. Whereas Richmond, 10 goals, 10. It's exactly 50%. The biggest lead in the game, Richmond at the start of the game at the 23rd minute mark had a 5-point lead. That was their highest lead for the game. Whereas Carlton ended up having the very last score on the board to go 61 points up, and that was the biggest lead we had in the game at the 30-minute mark of the last quarter.
Before we get David's take on the game, just to let you know that the Hawthorn West Coast game is over. The Eagles 4 goals 9-33 to Hawthorn 14-10-94.
Big win to the Hawks. They are really showing themselves to be a top 8 side, Hawthorn. They are playing like as good as any other top 8 side at the moment.
They are.
Unbelievable turnaround.
Not as good as us.
5 games. No, but they lost.
Use it any other top 8 team.
All I'm saying is that they lost their first 5 games, but geez, haven't they turned it around since then?
Yeah.
I don't know, John Cairns, but John, we're going to kick you out of the studio if you keep.
Swans have this year. So.
Anyway.
Okay, John.
Also,
actually, a Carlton supporter.
They'll have this year wrapped up, and they'll finish on top of the ladder. And if the grand final was played on the SCG, they'd probably be premiers.
Yeah, they'd be $1.03, David, favourites.
Exactly. But thankfully, the grand final isn't played on the SCG. It's played on the MCG, and I think we can beat them there. So,
yeah.
Hang on.
And you're looking at.
He's a Tigers fan.
He's a Tigers fan.
Anyway.
He'll be dirty because we beat them twice this year. It's the first time since 2013, I think, that we've beat them twice in a year. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but they were down for
David, tell us about the game.
Well, it started off, and look, they got a pretty good number of players, triple premiership players that there's still amongst them out there, guys who have played in, anything from 1 to 3 premierships, and they're still good players. I mean, they got a lot of kids coming through as well, but they're on the way out. But their pressure was pretty good early, and they took it up to us. They didn't make life easy for us, and it was just a matter of sticking at it, and they were going to break. They were going to break, and they did in that third quarter, and we managed to pile 7 goals on, which was vintage football, and it's a side that good teams like the Swans have been doing, and Collingwood have been able to do over the last few years, and we're doing now. So when you can bang on those number of goals in quick succession, you're in pretty good shape, because the opposition just don't know when it's going to come, and we can put we've got gears now. We can change gears and up it a bit, and catch the opposition on the hop a bit. So we've been able to show that over the last couple of weeks. I mean, great win last week against Geelong, and another very solid win this week. So got to be happy with it. I didn't see many weaknesses in the team. We've spoken about Orazio over the last few weeks, and he bobs up and kicks 4 goals. So good on him. And I thought, probably our weakness was our 2 key forwards. The amount of time the ball was in, and they keep getting their hands on the ball. This is what frustrates me a bit. They're just not clunking them yet. No, I'm just, once they start clunking their marks, we're going to be in real good shape. Better than we are at the moment. So the midfield has been dominant. The pressure they're applying has just been sensational, and the amount of effort you can, you see with Akers and Hollands and these blokes. I mean, they're right in the last line of defence. Then 2 minutes later they're up in the forward line contesting up there and doing what they have to do. The amount of work that our players are doing, and the quality of players we've got in our team now makes us a very dangerous opponent for anyone we're going to play against. So we just got to touch wood that no injuries are going to occur, and we start getting some more players back, because there's a lot of pressure starting to build on the players. It was noted on the commentary, the blokes who've been sort of subs for the last Motlop and Marchbank, and these guys are, they want to be part of it, but they've got to find a spot. And blokes like Cowan are able to hold his place, and also doing a terrific job down there as well. So it's good to see, and there's going to be a lot more pressure come on. Jack Martin will come back soon. Cottrell. There's some players to come back, so it's
Motlop
looking good. So I'm just really happy with the way that the team's going.
What did you think of the? Oh, sorry, Joe.
Okay.
I was going to say, what did you think of the decision to manage Tom DeConning? They pulled him out of the side. I think the news only came through about an hour or two before the game, so. Pitnet got a game and rucked all day long with a little bit of help from Harry very, very occasionally. But the hit-outs ended up being 43 to Nankervis, 22 to Pitnet, so roughly half the amount of hit-outs. Kosicki got 5, Cripps got 2, and Mackay got 1. So, I mean, essentially they got, 2/3 of the hit-outs. But, we saw that the clearances were pretty much even right throughout the ground. So didn't give them any major boost just to win the hitouts, did it?
It does. It does. They got, they know where the ball's going, sort of thing, if they're winning the hitouts. So that gives them a good advantage. But
what I'm saying is it ended up being very even on the clearances.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, exactly, and that shows the quality of our midfield. I mean, there are a couple of things, I suppose, having Pitnet in there against a brute like Nankervis, who's got a bit of nastiness about him too. He gets, you can see it. He likes hurting blokes, and he likes.
I had the feeling that Nankervis's attitude was, "Oh yeah, you reckon you can rest your number 1 ruckman because he's only got to come up against me? Okay, I'll show you what I'm made of."
Oh,
and
no,
he's their captain. So
if you watch Richmond games, he's hard at it. He doesn't take a backward step.
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah.
So not exposing DeConning to that could have factored into it. But the one thing I always think, as soon as they say someone's being managed or something, you've been a naughty boy during the week. I'm thinking whether Robbie Williams might have sent him over a package or something. I don't know what's going on. But that's the silly thing about the drug rule in in the AFL. As soon as someone gets managed or they've got a cold or something, that's the first thing you think of now. And you think, oh, they've been a naughty boy during the week. And
we're only human. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's something the AFL have really got to fix up too, because it does cast a slur on every player who is managed or
that's true.
So they need to fix that up. They need to really fix that.
Anyway,
how'd
you rate Pitnet's game overall? So it was his first game back for quite a while.
Yeah, look, I thought he battled hard. Nankervis, I think, probably had the better of him around the tap-ins and that sort of thing. But Pitnet, you know what you're going to get out of him. He's not going to leave you die wondering. He's in certain games, there may be a reason to bring him in, to go, with De Koning as well. So,
interestingly, Reece, the two of them, Nankervis and Pitnet, both had exactly the same amount of disposals, 17 each, and they both took 2 marks each for the game. The only difference was that Nankervis laid 3 tackles to Pitnet's 1, and Nankervis kicked the goal, whereas Pitnet didn't. He was one of Richmond's. In fact, I think you'll find he was probably Richmond's highest-rated player on the ground, Nankervis.
Yeah, well, I think
from Hopper, Rioli, and Taranto after that.
Yeah, and maybe so, but I think Pitnet did a job. He did his job. He know what you're going to get with him. Tom De Koning adds another asset to his game, which is he follows up and he's pretty good on the ground.
Yes.
So you get a lot more with Tom De Koning, and he's growing as a ruckman. As every game he's playing, he's getting better. And I haven't seen his brother.
So Kieran Briggs next week for GWS. Who goes up against him? Do you leave Pitnet there, because he's a very big, solid boy? Do you bring De Koning back to compete against him, or do you let Pitto stay as the number 1 ruckman next week?
No, I think you bring De Koning back if he's right, and if he's ready to go, because he's going to have to come up against these blokes, and you've got to know what you've got there. So you've got to say, well, hang on a minute, maybe in coming into the finals, we need to look at who we're coming up against, and we might need a Pitnet in there just to be able to help and break even with those bigger guys. But I think you got to give him first crack at it now, because
he's earned it, hasn't he?
Yeah, people were talking last week he's the 3rd best ruckman in the league, behind Gawn and Grundy at the moment. So that's a pretty big rap for a young fella just learning the trade. So he's doing a fine job.
Thank you, Enzo, for your donation of $7.99. Much appreciated. And he's also said about time the other 17 teams fear us. Do you think they fear us, David?
I think so. Yeah, I think they have for quite a while now. I reckon for 12 months. Any team with the big forwards that we've got with Mackay and Curnow, but that midfield is it's A grade. It's sensational. Cripps and Walsh are just in outstanding form. You got Chera going through there. You got Hewitt. You got Kennedy. There's a lot of quality going through there, and it doesn't end. It doesn't get easy for opposition teams, and and then our backline's been absolutely. I mean, Sard started off on fire. He had the ball on a string early. Newman just keeps getting the ball, and they like to get the ball into his hands as well. And I just can't believe he just finds space. He's just on his own so often, and he's got a beautiful left foot kick. And who was the kick he set up? He set one up in I think it was it Elijah Hollins? He just pinpointed him inside 50, and just a beautiful left foot drop the kick and landed on his lap sort of thing. And so. Our back line, Boyd, I was sort of looking around for Boyd for a while there, and then he sort of towards the end, he got a bit more involved in it. But
Yeah,
we and Wiedering, just doing what Wiedering does week in, week out.
What did you think of Chera's game today, David?
Yeah, probably find
he's
his feet a little bit. Yeah. I think nothing sensational, but I think he's going to get better in the weeks coming up. And
I actually think he did really well for someone who hasn't played for quite some time.
Yeah, four or 5 weeks.
He played three quarters.
No,
23 possessions.
Yeah. Well, you compare him to Walsh and Cripps, who just had outstanding games, and the rest just follow on sort of thing. But
he was on target to get probably 31, 32 possessions. He got 23 or 24 possessions to 3/4 time, and was then taken off the ground probably as a precaution more than anything else, because they probably thought, well, he's had a good hit out here. Let's not risk him re-injuring that hamstring, and we'll take him off and give him a rest and put our sub on, which was George Hewitt.
I think that was all pre-planned too. Given that we weren't going to get an injury, that had happened. Chera had come off the ground and have a spell. Obviously, with hamstring, you just want to ease him back into it. I think they did that with Jack Martin last year, in when he come back, they were able to sub him on and off sort of thing. So. They're smart about the way they're doing it, and it's good that you can do those things. It was good to see them in the last 5 minutes. Charlie and a few others sitting on the bench. You don't really need them out there in that junk time, and a player can get injured, and certain things can happen. So when you get those wins on the board, you can afford to do things like that. But
how often do we see players getting injured in the last minute or two of the game, and you think, why did they leave him on?
I hope it's not too serious for Kennedy.
Oh, what happened to Kennedy?
Yeah, Kennedy hurt his knee. He looked like.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Went back down.
Yeah, he went off.
Just going for a ruck. It was an innocuous sort of thing. So
that's a shame, because he played a really good game, I thought.
Yeah, it didn't look like a bad one. It didn't look like a cruciate or any of that sort of thing.
But they took him straight down to the race.
Yeah, minor next week or something. Hopefully he's okay. But
okay.
Yeah, we got players
Rocco says it was a hammy. Hang on,
not an
well, no, we're getting different things. Rocco says it's a hammy, and Lana says it's a medial strain.
Yeah, it looked more like more. It could have been cartilage, could have been meniscus. You just don't know till they
get a scan.
Check it. But no, it wasn't a hammy. You could see the way he went down. He just went down awkwardly when he went for that. It just went down in an awkward position, and that sometimes they're the things that can be the worst things. But anyway, hopefully he's all good.
I'll tell you one thing that feels like it's almost repetitive week after week after week is how well our midfield's going. I mean, ever since we lost to the Sydney Swans by, I think it was 52 points at the SCG, and I think Voss really put it on the leaders. He was more critical of them in not standing up in that match, and ever since he singled them out and said they're the ones I'm most disappointed in that game, they've come out and blitzed nearly every single week after that. Cripps and Walsh. How many times are Cripps and Walsh, getting 30 to 35 possessions? What did Cripps get today? 40. I mean, it's just amazing the level of output that we're getting from these guys week after week. They're just on fire at the moment, aren't they?
Well, that's pride in your performance too, and that game against Sydney would have stung, Walshy and Cripper. They had poor games. They didn't perform on the big stage, and that would have stung them. So that sometimes it can be something like that really energizes a team, and you have pride in your own performance, and you get out there and want to show it. So that. Quite often you'll see that. You'll see teams have a defeat. Even the Swans talking about the defeat they had to have sort of thing at this time of the year. And, that can spark them to get going. But I've got no doubt that, those our midfield would have been very disappointed with their performance against Sydney up there, because they got their pants down and really give it to us. So, I look forward to the time we do play them again, and hopefully that's grand final day and on the MCG.
Be a very
Hey, guys,
different story, I reckon.
I've got a question for both of you about our captain. Do you think he's playing better this year than the year he won the Brownlow? I'll start with you, David.
I'd say he's starting to. His last probably 4 or 5 weeks have been in Brownlow medal form. I thought he was a little bit up and down, as we mentioned. That Sydney game wasn't great. He's had some very, very good games. He'd be in contention for the Brownlow this year. That year he won the Brownlow, he was pretty consistent all year. We didn't play finals that year, so
No.
He was just a consistent beast out there, and really he didn't have anyone taking votes off him either. He's going to have players taking votes off him.
That's more the issue, I reckon, this year.
Which is great.
He could very well look. I believe he's playing just as well. You could argue that there are some games there that he's blitzing even more than he did in 2022, but I think you're right. There's going to be so many other players that the umpires have to take into consideration for votes. And, just because he gets 40 possessions like last week, might not necessarily see him getting 3 votes. He might be lucky to get 1 or 2 because there are so many other players that are in contention. As we've found out with our votes, our 3-2-1s are often all over the place with different players because there's so many of them that are playing well at the moment. There's hardly a weakness in the side.
We just asked Greg Williams about it.
Well, the conditions really did suit Cripper today. That little bit of drizzle, it was that annoying sort of rain, and he's a beast. I mean, on a flat track on a hot day, he can get seen to be a bit wanting, but when the conditions suit him and like they did today, then he's in an element of his own, and he just rubs his hands together and gets to work because he hasn't got that blistering pace and he can't keep up in that, but he's just got that ability to be able to break free and the strength and his core strengths.
And his goal kicking's really improved. I reckon he's
kicking
becoming a really regular and reliable goal kicker these days.
Yeah, it's I mean, we don't hide our eyes when Cripper or Harry are shooting for goal anymore, which is good because both have had the wobbles in front of goals, but both seem to have got a routine now that works, and that's all you need to do. And if you've got confidence going in kicking for goal, that's half the battle.
How well is Jacob Wiedering going at the moment? I mean, I call him the Rock of Gibraltar. He is impassable back there. They just cannot pass him. He spoils everything or marks it. Yep. And his disposal efficiency must be through the roof because every time he gets it, he finds a Carlton player.
I think he made one mistake today, and they got a goal out and flicked it back. But they're that rare that you remember them because you can't. Yeah, geez, that's not like Wieders.
That's true.
He normally
that
gets
was the one. That was the one little one. But I mean, first half,
and that's why brilliant. You do remember him though, because he just doesn't make those sort of mistakes. A bit like Bruce Stool, really. Trying to think of whether Bruce, made mistakes or whatever. It just didn't happen. So when something did go wrong, you can sort of go, geez, what happened there? But he's and how he's not, wasn't being considered for All Australian at that halfway mark is unbelievable. I'd have Nick Newman right up there again in that squad as well. So
my word,
it's
the defense is looking really good, and I think even some of the no names like Boyd,
like Cowan, this guy Cowan,
Cincotta, these guys are just what would have been no names, even a year ago, and they have earned their way into the side, and now they're playing really consistent footy, and going to make it really hard for some of those, dare I say, unreliable players in terms of their fitness and form, such as Marchbank and Cunningham and Jack Martin. These guys are constantly on the injury list, and I don't necessarily think that they're any guarantee to get their position back in the team.
Well, the great thing now is they're not a walk-up start. You know, they're not, you know, because they have been over previous years. They've just been thrown straight back in because there's been spots there that have been glaring holes in our defence or in our midfield or wherever. But that doesn't exist anymore. So, and the guys who are in the team, you can really see that they don't want to be getting out of it. And you know, even a guy like Kennedy sort of thing, he'd be wanting to play next week, no matter how bad his knee is, because
exactly.
Once you're out, you got to get back in, and that's not the easiest thing to be doing.
Hey,
do you think
tell me what? Sorry, go Joe.
I was going to say, do you think at the start of the year in Voss's 23 that there would been Cowan, Kemp, Boyd, Cincotta?
No,
just,
they weren't there. They were all available in that first few weeks, and they weren't there. So Marchbank was, and obviously Jack Martin was, Cunningham.
And don't forget, you got Doherty and Silvani out injured for the entire year, so they might have been part of the.
Yeah, we've had them for most of the year, but you look at those early rounds and who he was playing, and those guys weren't part of it, so they've had to work their way in through injuries or whatever the case is. But they've planted their stake in the ground and said, you're not moving me out of this team, and that's been the great thing about it, because that pressure's going to really heat up too, because there's some pretty good players coming back from injury, and Jack Martin's one I think we need, and need him in really good form. Come finals time, he could be an X factor out there. He could be something that just bobs up in the finals like Bobby Hill did last year or whatever, and just tears it apart. So let's hope so.
Hey Reese, what about? Can I ask you for your view on our wings, because I think if there is potentially one weakness, it is one of the wingers. You have a look at Akers, who got 33 possessions today, 15 kicks and 18 handballs, took 3 marks and laid 2 tackles, and he was pretty good. I mean, he let me have a look here. I'm just trying to find his disposal efficiency. Anyway, now you compare that with Ollie Hollands on the other side, who only had 7 possessions, 1 only kick, 6 hand passes, 1 mark, laid 4 tackles. Now, is that a concern or not?
Well, yeah. Well, it would be for Ollie Hollands. He'd be looking at those stats, and he'd be talking to the coaches, and they'd be going through his form. I'm just trying to think. He played on that big fella, didn't he?
Really, not Noah Bolter. I can see in the ball-headed guy.
Yeah, he should be a centre.
McIntosh.
McIntosh. He doesn't have to be a centre forward, and they play him on a wing. So
you almost ragdolled him a bit.
Yeah. So he had a bit of strength over him, and probably had the better of him over the course of the day. But that's for the selectors to ponder anyway. And Cottrell coming back, adds that bit of pace to it, and as well as that, getting up and down the ground, he's got genuine pace as well. So
I think
just talking about Hollands though, I thought another good game by his brother Elijah too. He bobs in. He's
been a great find, hasn't he?
Great recruit. That's a real good recruit, and just what we need. He does some special things out there. He can do. He's got some real talent. So I like watching him play, and he's got some tricks, which is good.
Someone said he signed a 2-year extension yesterday or today.
Yes, signed during the week. 2-year extension.
Who's that, Elijah?
Elijah. Yeah. They basically, what they did, they because he was a naughty boy and went through that process early in the season and got left out for the first couple of rounds. That they only offered him a 1-year contract, I think, so for this year, but, which threw the ball back in his boat. I mean, it was up to him to decide whether he, wanted to be part of it and wanted to, put his hand up, and he certainly has done that. So he well deserves, 2-year extension, and hopefully he'll be around the club for quite a few years and quite a few premiership years. Would be nice.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, well, I think if there's any weakness in the team at the moment, it might be that wing. As you said, Cottrell might come back and fill that void. I'm not sure. Is Ollie maybe just getting a bit tired at this time of the year? I don't know. He's only still 19.
Only 19.
So, he's still a young guy. I'm not denying that he's young. He's got excuses. But when you're getting into the finals, you can't afford to have, anything like that as a weakness. So I'm just wondering whether he might keep his spot on the side, but then again, he might be off the bench rather than guaranteed his wing. But we'll see what happens. There's still time. Well, I thought Adam Sard played also a fantastic game today with off the halfback flank. He was just superb.
Started really well when we were under the pump a little bit early, and he, some of his closing speed, he was able to, really influence. There was one time on the wing where he just he ran and jumped and just got a touch on it, but Richmond were away. They were off. They would have taken the ball the length of the ground, and he was able to just get a touch on it. And he's, let's hope, because he's one who's had those hamstring injuries and muscle injuries as well. So let's hope he can hold up for this back half of the season too, because he's very important, very, very important. And that defensive closing speed he shows, and plus his ability to get the ball, to get out of sticky situations. He's just got that. He's got
that knack, hasn't he?
That little burst of speed that he's got that opens things up, and he uses the ball so well. I mean, it's funny they do the woof all the time with him, which Val Perovic and Ange Christo, but they used to kick the ball 50 metres. I mean, this bloke,
he doesn't.
Well, he can, and he does every now and then, but he chips the ball a lot. So that
and runs, just chip and run.
Because the wolf was kicking the air out of the ball sort of thing. That's what it sort of stood for, sort of thing. And with Perovic,
the game's changed a bit these days. You don't get defenders doing that as much because I think the coaches would probably take them off the ground and give them a tongue lashing for just turning over the ball. It's keepings off these days, isn't it? It's all about maintaining possession.
Yep, that's it. And you watch the old days, it was a matter of getting the ball and you go back quick and move it as quick as you could down to your forward line and, your best option down there as quick as you could sort of thing. So, times have changed. But
just briefly, Rhys, what did you make of the opposition today? Richmond, no Lynch. They got quite a few.
No Lynch hurt him.
In fact,
no Lynch hurt him, but I don't think
Hopper and Taranto did a lot better, and I thought Dusty was the disappointment for them today.
He looked injured.
Got taken off the ground, injured. Yeah,
he went off.
He was totally ineffective. He did nothing.
He probably shouldn't have played today. Off that was a 5-day break or a 6-day break or whatever it was. Maybe shouldn't have played. Look, Dusty's been a great servant for the Richmond Football Club. 3 Northern Smiths.
Is he coming towards the end? Do you think the writing's on the wall that he should retire at the end of this year?
Look, that's entirely up to him. But the way he's playing suggests that he's and there's quite a few players. I'm looking at quite a few across quite a number of teams at the moment who've been up there and done what they've had to do and. There's quite a few you're looking at the moment, going, gee, they played that 1 year too many. Or I don't think Dusty has. I think he deserves his 300 games. And
but that's pretty much it now. I think he's getting to the end.
I think he's really, if he thought about it and what else can he achieve out there? He's not, look, if he thinks he can. He's been hampered a little bit with a back or something, and he can come back and play out the rest of the year in tip-top form. Have a crack at it, but otherwise he's got to start thinking. Well, hang on a minute, I'm keeping a young player out who could get another 6, 7, 8 games into him before the end of the season and propel his career, sort of thing. So you got to think of things like that, but. He'll make his choices up, but I'd hate to see him just battle along like he is at the moment because
we don't want to see champions of the game going out where they're struggling to keep their spot in the side, do we? We'd rather than finish with a little bit in the tank, go out on a high, and look, he's been a great season. Richmond. I mean, he's arguably the greatest finals player of all time, really. I mean, when you think about it, 3 Norm Smith medals, and a Brownlow. It's hard enough to win 1 Norm Smith medal, isn't it, Rhys?
Well, you only got to play good on one day.
That's what you did back in 1987. Thank God for that.
On a good player.
Yeah. No, but look, it also comes down to your body as well. He doesn't seem to have the sort of body that's going to go well into the 30s. Like you see these wiry bodies often on these players that play 350 and 400 and even beyond 400. It's the Dustin Fletcher,
Robbie Flower,
Kevin Bartlett, Michael Tuck. These guys all play. Craig Bradley. They've got very durable bodies, and players like Dustin Martin, when their body starts to go bad on them, it really does happen pretty quickly. I reckon he's got a very similar physique to Dane Swan, and I reckon when Swanee started coming towards the end, he knew it pretty quickly as well. Yeah, and that's why he retired. And I think he'd be well advised to give it up at the end of this year. But anyway, that's Richmond's problem. I don't think the beauty of Carlton's list at the moment is that I think our oldest player is only about 31, and I think that's Nick Newman.
Yeah.
Everyone else is either 30 or 29 or younger.
Yeah, exactly. So,
that's what happened because we retired Ed Curnow at the end of last year.
Yeah, but we haven't got those problems, and we looked at Geelong last week and Hawkins and a few others, and sort of you look at them and think they just got that going on that 1 year too many sort of things. So there's players who do that and players who get out beforehand, but it's decision, and there's a bit of money at stake too when you decide to call it quits. So
I think that's probably half the problem is they get tempted to play another year. Why? Because there's $500 million or more in it for them. So if Dusty Martin retires, where's he going to get any income from? I mean, he's not a media person. He's not a. I don't even see him as being someone who'll get involved at the coaching level. So I don't know what he's going to do.
I think he'd be, he would have been paid pretty well over the time, and if he's invested that money well, I don't think he'll have too many problems. So he's not married or anything. He hasn't got kids. He's
hey, that's one great way to save a lot of money. Don't get married and don't have kids.
He needs more money for tattoos. Half his body's not covered.
Oh well, yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think let's wrap this up, boys. David, final comments from you?
Yeah, look, I think we're in peak form at the moment. We are in absolute peak form, and this has got to continue. It's just terrific to watch, and when they do turn it on, some of those goals they kicked today were just were brilliant. It was classic football, and they really did light it up when they had to. So. As I said earlier on, they've got gears at the moment, and that's what you need. You need to be able to turn it on when need to, and be able to hold and defend, strongly as well. So, fantastic at the moment. And if you're a Carlton supporter, you can't be anything but very, very happy with the way they're going.
Have we peaked yet, David?
No.
Or not yet?
No,
not yet. Okay, there you go.
We've got players to come back. We've got players to come back, and we've got quality to come back. So, No, not yet.
Vince?
Can I ask you one thing before I give you my final comments? One more thing, Rhys. Even if you've got players that can come back, do you necessarily upset the equilibrium of the side by bringing players in that are not part of what's happening right now? Because sometimes doing that can change things in terms of how they operate together as a unit. I like the fact that these guys are all playing pretty much every week. And have done for the last 6 weeks. There haven't been too many changes in the Carlton side, have there?
Well, there haven't been, no. I mean, early in the season, we were having lots of changes, and that was caused by injuries and players coming in and out, and that can upset them. Yes. But if you're bringing, I mean, I think people were questioning whether Chera should have come straight back in. you always put your quality back in there.
Of course.
It makes you a better team, and that's why Michael Voss has, virtually been rubbing his hands together when we've been able to get the wins we have been getting. With the the no-name players we have had out there, and because he knows what's coming back, and McGovern was out for quite a while as well.
Saad was out with about 6 weeks with his hamstring.
Well, you start putting them back in, and you're just putting a bit more quality in, a bit more quality. You're making yourself your midfield better by putting Chera in there. Your backline better by putting McGovern and Saad back in there. You put Jack Martin in, your forward line has another dimension down there.
Okay, so you bring Jack Martin in and you've got to drop another player.
Maybe,
See, what happened this week is that they rested DeConning and brought in Pitnet, and they brought in Chera and dropped Corey Durden, who'd been a sub for the last 2 matches. So probably for no other reason other than, Chera was available, but Durden needed a proper run. He hadn't been having a proper game of any sort in the previous 2 weeks. So better off to play him in the VFL where he can play all 4 quarters than sitting on a substitute bench. So all I'm saying is, just because Marchbank might be now available or Cunningham might now be available, even Jack Martin, who's grossly unreliable, even if they're available, is it a wise move to necessarily bring those players back into this particular team? Or should they be made to work for it through the VFL, prove that they've got good form before they get potentially brought back into this side?
Well, it depends on the player. It depends on where they're at. But the great thing is we're talking about this, and we're talking about players coming back, and who. It's
a nice dilemma.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a fantastic, and that is the best problem that Michael Voss is ever going to have. Wondering where do I put Jack Martin's back? What do I do? Do I play him in the seconds? Do I put him straight back in? What a great decision to have to make. And we've been a long time since the Carlton Footy Club's had that problem.
True. All right. Well, look, my final comments are pretty simple. I thought it was a comprehensive win. You could just tell that up to half time it was a case of, they were sticking with us, but I waited for the inevitable, and the inevitable happened. I mean, this is the thing that Carlton supporters have got these days is supreme confidence and belief that when we need to put the foot down, we know how to do that. And you talked about it earlier. We've got gears now. And when it's time to put it into overdrive, you could just see the amount of pressure that we were putting on them. Every time they had the ball in that third quarter, there was 1, 2, or even 3 Carlton players hounding them, and that turned the ball over. And that's what led to so many goals. And it was a very impressive performance to slam on 7 goals in a row there in that third quarter, and the game was done and dusted after that. And then again in that last quarter, we slammed on another 6, and that just goes to show you how professional this side has now become. So if you're out there and you're thinking about having holidays in September, cancel your plans, because I reckon we're going to be right up there. And there's no reason, if we finish in the top 2, why we can't have 2 home finals and play in the last day in September. And I reckon it's going to take
heard it here first, folks.
A damn good side to knock us off at the MCG, especially with our crowd.
You've heard it here first. Vince is predicting cancel the holidays. We're in the grand final.
Well, I really believe there's hardly a side that can come into a game against us at the moment and say we've got their measure.
That's it. The lid's off. The lid's off.
The lid is off.
Get on the train. Everyone's on the train. Are we on the Bolton Express?
No Bolton Express. No T train. Just
no T train.
No. We're on V line, mate. The Voss line.
The V line. Okay, we'll make that. Let's get to the vote.
Seriously, why not? Why not make the most of our opportunity this year? Because every year's different. You can have injuries next year. You could have other teams all of a sudden improve. There's trading and there's drafting and all sorts of things make it different from one year to the next.
Are we going back to back?
We've got to make the most of it this year. I reckon we've got to make the most of it this year. Let's win this one. No, don't start talking back to back. this year. That's all we have to win. That's all we have to think about, winning this year.
That's it.
I've been watching Welcome to Wrexham. They're back to back, and then they're going to go back to back to back. Anyway, let's get to the votes.
Righto.
All right, with my hang on a minute. What have you done there,
Oh,
Vince?
Joe, what have you done here?
What have you done,
Vince?
Vince?
Well, for starters, Tom de Conning didn't play, so these are
Vince.
clearly the wrong vote.
Sucked in.
Okay, righto.
We see ya. We see
Very
ya.
good. Righto.
Yeah.
Go on, David.
No, I give the 3 votes to Paddy Cripps. He was a great leader today, and he had his bullock and best, and just absolutely fantastic. Sammy Walsh not far behind. He was brilliant. Kicked a couple of great goals, and just the work. And I think he had 10 or 11, 12 tackles or whatever. He's a machine. He is an absolute machine. I'd actually look at resting, a couple of these blokes if we get enough wins on the board coming into. Sammy's had the back problems and everything, and that might hurt him to miss a week when we play North Melbourne or so on coming through. And Nick Newman,
maybe West Coast in Perth too.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, travel and everything. Yep. Getting on the plane, it could be the one. But no disrespect to the opposition, but if you can rack up the wins, you can afford to do things like that.
Yeah.
And Nick Newman for the 1 vote, just terrific off that back line. He probably had his 20-odd possessions again and hit a target every time. He just I think the team like getting the ball into his hands. Him and Saad, they like getting the ball into their hands because they use it very well.
Vince, obviously Tom de Conning didn't get your 3 votes.
Yes. No, look, Paddy Cripps, what can I say? Captain Courageous. He is just superb in every way, not only as a player, but as a captain as well. And he just looks better than ever. He really does. And even that kick he had for goal, it went right through the middle. It never looked like it deviating for 1 second. So his kicking has really improved. I don't know who's been working with him on his kicking, but his kicking is really a lot better than it used to be. And it makes a big difference when you're getting 40 possessions and your kicking efficiency's up around 80 to 85%. It makes a huge difference. Nick Newman, I gave him my 2 votes. He was everywhere. He had the ball on a string. Him and Saad, I put Saad in for my 3rd vote. I was thinking of giving it to Walsh, and probably he deserves it too. I mean, there's that many players you could give a vote to. I thought Wiedering deserved the vote, at least the vote. But you can't put them all in. So I gave it to Saad because I thought he was very effective off that half-back line. And look, to keep the opposition down to 10 goals, 10, obviously your defence has done something pretty good. And I thought Newman, Saad and Wiedering especially were very, very solid down back. Cripps, yes, Walsh as well in the midfield. They were brilliant, but you can't put them all in.
No. And I don't think anyone could have gone anyone other than Patrick Cripps. In that 3rd quarter, he had 10 possessions or 8 possessions in 10 minutes. He just was a ball magnet. And you're right, Vince. Yeah. He used to be a really bad kick for goal, but all of a sudden he's just dead-eyed kicking. Maybe we might play him at centre half forward. Nick Newman,
he's tall enough. He's 6'4".
Yeah, could be. He's same height as Stephen Kernan, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. He could easily be rested down in the forward line if they need to rest him, and he's still very effective and can take a really good contested grab. And clearly, his kicking for goals really improved.
Yeah, and Nick Newman, I agree with Vince. I thought he's been fantastic. He's been Mr. Consistent, Nick Newman, and Sam Walsh. Gee, it's fantastic when you see the ruckman tap the ball to Cripps, who runs, gives it to Walsh, and then Walsh just runs in and kicks a goal.
How was that? It took I reckon it took less than 10 seconds. It went from Pitnet to Chera to Cripps to Walsh, bang, straight through the middle of the ground. It wouldn't have taken 10 seconds. It might have taken 5 or 6, to be honest. I thought it was a brilliant goal there in that last quarter. 3rd quarter.
It is. And Petra Khan, who's one of our regulars, some great games from Akers. Who's Stocker? Elijah.
We got rid of him.
I think he's at St Kilda.
We sent him to St Kilda.
Maybe she means acres. But that's the best thing that I can see that's happened to our team this year is that it's getting hard to give the votes because it's just such a consistent brand of football by all the players.
Yep.
Anyway, it is now time for David to announce who won the
award. It goes to Orazio Fantastic.
Oh, sorry.
Orazio.
There he is.
Yeah, and we'll give him that award because I think we've all called for his head for that long, and for him to bob up and kick 4 goals is a pretty good effort. No, he's had a good day. Probably, I don't know if he's been getting the Bronx cheers of late, but when he has been getting the ball, but obviously 4 goals, you got to give him credit for that, and he bobbed up at the right times, and I think I'll give it to Owies last week. So the small forwards are in my favour at the moment. So well done, Orazio, and let's hope there's more matches like that from him to come.
Yes, I skipped over a slide. Sorry,
Owies was probably the one. Owies was probably the one that had a slightly quieter game this week, but they're sharing it around from week to week.
He dropped a few marks. He dropped a few sitters. Which is he normally gobbles them up, but anyway,
not good.
Maybe
Patrick Cripps is still in front. Walsh
he hasn't got a W next to his name, has he? Not on the wet tracks.
Yeah. So that brings us to next week, gentlemen. Round 17.
Another big game. Yeah, GWS. And remember, we've already played them this season and beaten them down here, but they were sitting on top of the ladder at that stage, and they were everyone was talking about Swans, Giants, the 2 teams that had to be, they were going to go be the grand finalists. So, they're quite capable, and it's not going to be easy up there. So another big test for our players, and let's get up there and get the job done. But I'm sure if they can apply the heat as they have been able to do, we can put the score on the board to beat anyone at the moment.
Is that at the Sydney Showgrounds?
Apparently.
I thought it was at NG at Giants Stadium, surely.
Yeah, Giants Stadium.
On the AFL website, took it off the AFL website.
No, it's got NG Stadium here, which is the old Giant Stadium in Western Sydney. Has to be.
I took it off the AFL.com website. So
really,
yeah,
NG Stadium. NG
Stadium, which is the new sponsor. NG being an energy company.
Yeah.
They now sponsor that. What used to be Giant
Parramatta Way.
Anyway, okay, so that they've changed.
If you're heading up there, just double check. You don't want to be turning up to the Sydney Showgrounds and there's nothing happening.
Yeah, the show might be on. You might get a show bag.
Oh, yeah, the show. Well, that's what it said on the website. So I apologise.
That's all right. So we're playing the orange tsunami. That's been more like an orange puddle in the last few weeks.
Well, they came back today, didn't they? They were at one stage they were getting thrashed by Adelaide.
You mean last night? Last night.
Yeah, but they came back, didn't they? I mean,
but when you look at Adelaide,
I don't think
what they've done this year, that's a very disappointing loss, I would have thought.
Yeah.
They're just not the same. They're just not quite the same side. And I really think that losing Sam Taylor there in defence has made a big difference. They're not the formidable opposition that they were last year. They're just we tend to think of them as that same team that came from nowhere like we did last year and all of a sudden made finals and went to a preliminary final and were within a point of a grand final. But they're just not quite the same team this year, are they, Bruce? They're a bit of a mixed bag.
A little bit like Geelong, a great start to the year, but just, it's starting to taper off a little bit now, and they don't seem to have the confidence in each other that they had early in the season. So good time to be getting them, to be honest, because they're not in good form.
Well, yeah, that's good. So predictions. Do I have to go first since I'm leading the tipping by one? Well, what we're saying.
Yes.
I'm going to go Carlton by 7 goals.
7 goals. Wow.
points. All right, I'll go Carlton. I'll pick my own number this week, 26. 26 points.
So Joe, Carlton by 42. Yeah. Reese, Carlton by 26. And last year we played them up there and we won by something like 10 behinds. I think we kicked 9 goals 20 and they kicked 9 goals 10, something like that. So I'm going to say 10 points again. Carlton by 10. I don't think we'll win by a lot, but it'll be up there at their home ground. They'll be a lot harder to beat. We have to travel. In fact, I'm just looking at the odds here, Reese. GWS has got a fair bit of support here. $2.10. Carlton $1.77. It's not, and the line is only 3.5 points. And that, by the way, has tempted me to make that my bet of the week. Carlton at the line to win by at least 4 points. So I'm going to take us by 10. There you go. That's Carlton. Carlton by 10 for me.
Weak. Anyway, that brings us to the end.
Joe, what's the matter with you?
10 points? You got no confidence.
Yes. No.
We're on fire.
No confidence.
I know we are on fire.
I know we are.
We are playing good footy.
I'm just being conservative. I tipped us to beat Richmond by 5 goals and we end up winning by 10. So if I'm tipping us to win by 10, we'll probably win by 20.
At least Wayne agrees with me. Good on you, Wayne. I agree.
Anyway, all
that brings us to the end of the part where
that's the main thing.
Shut up, Vince. We now have to bid farewell to David. So, David, thank you very much for giving us your time. We really appreciate it. And
yes, thanks,
our viewers love your comments. Sorry for talking while Vince is interrupting. Great
to be part of it. And more importantly, let's get those Giants next week and give them a nice old hammering too. It'd be nice to get up there and, do a job on them. But to be perfectly honest, if we get away by a point, I'll be happy. Just get the 4 points.
Yeah, so will I.
Get up there, get the job done, and go the Mighty Blues. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, David. See you next week.
All right.
Wow, that was very insightful, Vince. He's a man. He doesn't say a lot, but what he says is pretty blunt and pretty honest.
Yeah.
Unlike our commentator last year, who never had he was never short of a word. And hello, Peter Brown, if you're watching. He's probably out.
I love Brownie. What are you talking about? I love Brownie. Brownie was
so do I. I loved it. When I come to Melbourne again, Vince, we'll have to catch up with him again if he's around.
Well, I've been asking him. I think he's back from his recent holiday, and I've been asking him to let me know if he's got a free Sunday night to come on for, even if it's only for 15 or 20 minutes. So, with any luck,
we'll see.
You never know. We might get him on next week or the week after. I'll keep pushing him.
That's right, Vince. Apparently, there were some other games this week.
Indeed, Joe.
Go for it.
Okay. Well.
Oops, sorry.
Where are you going?
It was on the. There you go. Sorry.
Okay.
Go for it, Vince.
It all started on Friday night over at the Gabba. It looked like Brisbane might drop yet another game at the Gabba for most of this game, but boy, did they come back. Melbourne, for the second week in a row, did not score a goal in the last quarter, and that must be of great concern to them, and they ended up dropping the game. Can you believe it? Brisbane Lions kept their finals hopes not only alive, but they're now well and truly entrenched into the 8. So they won 11 goals 20, pretty poor kicking for goal, 86. To Melbourne 11-15, also pretty poor kicking, 81. So
the wheels have fallen off at Melbourne, haven't they?
A loss like that is probably a knife in the heart of Melbourne's finals chances, I reckon.
I was going to say the wheels have fallen off.
They're already decimated with injury through the retirement of Brayshaw and also the recent injury to Petrarca. That's got to really hurt them. So I just can't see them making the final 8 now. I really can't. But anyway, we'll soon find out what they're made of. Next game was on Saturday at Marvel Stadium. North Melbourne, pretty brave here, only losing by 17 points, but nevertheless still going down to the Western Bulldogs, who kicked 11-11-77 to North Melbourne's 9-6-60, a 17-point victory for the Doggies. And they also are looking good to make the final 8 the way they're going. This was the big upset of the round. The 1-point victory by the Fremantle Dockers 15-9, 99. Good kicking for goal. Beating the Sydney Swans 14-14, 98. They did have a chance to win right at the end there. Logan McDonald had a kick for goal and missed the entire goals and points. Could have even got a draw out of it if he kicked the point. But nevertheless, Fremantle probably deserved to win. And they pulled off a very unlikely away victory at the SCG. Who would have thought, eh?
Exactly.
So
they played well. I watched that game.
And they've now secured themselves a top 4 spot on the ladder at the moment, which we'll come to shortly. The next game, this was a great game to watch for all
magnificent result.
I'm sure. I loved watching this game.
Great result.
Fantastic. In fact, Collingwood got in front with only a few minutes to go. I think they got.
I know their supporters. You could hear that Collingwood.
Yeah, that's right. But to the Suns' credit, they came back and kicked the last 2 goals of the game and won 14-17, 101 to Collingwood 13-12, 90. And that would have spoiled a lot of Collingwood supporters' holidays who went up to the Gold Coast for the school holidays to watch their team lose. So, anyway, I think the boys on the Jumper Punch last week had this video going, and I'm sure that they'll use that video again this Tuesday night when they talk about this game, because it'll be total.
Okay, next.
No, actually, it wasn't total. It was Stugatz. That's right, Stugatz. For all those Italians out there, you know what I'm talking about. All right.
Keep it
was
clean.
Another upset of sorts. I think a lot of people didn't tip this. I did, but only because I thought the Giants are a bit overrated. So Adelaide Crows 13-16, 94 at home, defeating the Giants 12-6, 78. Another loss to the Giants, and a pretty good victory from Adelaide. They really do need that Isaac Rankin playing for them every week, because he makes such a difference to their side. And, of course, last night, big win to Geelong, rebounding off their loss to us. Huge victory over Essendon, 45 points, 16 goals, 905 to Essendon's 9,660. Although I've got to say, Essendon supporters have got every right to be absolutely livid with the quality of umpiring there last night. It was disgusting. No, it was. It was terrible. It was terrible. And that decision to give a free kick to Geelong in front of goal for deliberately rushing the ball through for a point.
He made no attempt.
Joe, they don't pay them. They never pay them. So why pay that one? And those two attacking players for Geelong were nowhere near the 9-metre limit that's been specified as how far they have to be away for you to lose the free kick. Anyway.
Just face the facts. They are shit. They weren't good enough. Umpires or not. One decision doesn't make the game.
I'm not saying that they deserve to win the game, but it did make a huge difference. In that third quarter, those decisions really told against them, and it gave Geelong a lot of momentum. Anyway,
decision.
Port Adelaide.
One decision.
Ken Hinkley's job on the line came good, and just without kicking a goal in the last quarter. In fact, it was really weird because they kicked 2 goals to nothing in the third quarter, and then St Kilda kicked 2 goals to nothing in the last, but didn't quite get over the line. So Port Adelaide 8-14-62 to St Kilda 8-12-60 in a pretty dour struggle, and that keeps Port Adelaide in the mix for a spot in the 8.
And as I said before, the game that just finished while we were on air, West Coast Eagles 4-9-33 to the Dorks 14-10, 94. So this ladder was the Dorks. I've got nicknames for everyone. Richmond are piss and poo. Oh no, that's Hawthorn. Richmond are yellow and crap. Essendon scum.
All right. Let's go. Okay, so the 8 is currently looking like this. Sydney Swans, after that 1-point loss, are now 2 games, not 3, but 2 games ahead of Carlton. But by the way, they've got a vastly superior percentage, so it's almost like being 3 games in front. But they're on 52 points, probably a loss that won't do them any major harm. Carlton, another win, 11 wins now out of 15 games. In fact, we have now won 22 out of our last 28 games. ever since that Essendon loss last year, we have won 22 and only lost 6 since then. Pretty good record. 44 points, pretty good percentage, 118.5. Fremantle jump up to third on the ladder with 9.5 wins, ahead of Essendon, who are also on 9.5 wins. They're still in the top 4 at the moment, Essendon, but with a pretty poor percentage of only 99. Then a half a game away, you've got Geelong on 36. Collingwood, 1 less win, but they've got 2 draws. That's why they're on 36. So they're in 5th and 6th, respectively. And Port Adelaide, with that 2-point win today, jump into the 8. They're in 7th position, also on 36 points, with a percentage of just over 101. And then Brisbane, who would have thought, after they were looking pretty sick a few weeks ago, they have strung a few good wins together, and they are now officially in the 8. So their destiny is in their own hands. 8.5 wins, 34 points. And they're only half a game clear of 4 teams. Western Bulldogs, GWS, Gold Coast, and Melbourne. Only half a game out of the 8. And also joining them, Joe, would be Hawthorn on 32 points as well, because that shows only 14. So that doesn't include the Hawthorn victory over Western.
No, I said that because I did this before the game.
That's okay. So Hawthorn is now still in 13th position.
Yeah, their percentage
is still only in the 90s, but they'll be just behind Melbourne on 32 points. So that's 5 teams on 32, only half a game out of the 8. Jeez, it's going to be a tight. It's going to go down to the wire, isn't it? You can just see it now. It's going to go down to the last round. Then these teams, mathematically possible, but you wouldn't think so. Adelaide on 22. That's only 5 wins and a draw, and 9 losses. St Kilda also 5 wins and 10 losses. I think they're too far gone now after having lost today. They're on 20. And then West Coast 12, Richmond 8, and North Melbourne just the 1 win and 4 points.
Get your money on. And can I just say, I just want to put that back up. Next week, Essendon play Collingwood, right? So let's assume Collingwood win. That will make Essendon probably 6th, 7th.
Yep.
And looking very good for that 9th position, might I add.
They'd be, if they lose to Collingwood next week, I reckon they'll be feeling very nervous about holding on to their spot in the 8.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering the trend that they have, which is to not have a very good second half of the season. Last year's second half of the season was pathetic by Essendon. So if they don't improve in that regard, they probably will fall out of the 8. Anyway,
Vince,
let's see what happens.
Do you know what time it is?
Tell me, Joe.
It's time for Big Vincenzo's verdict. Please don't talk about umpires. Not umpires.
No, I'm not going to talk about umpires. I've already mentioned the terrible umpiring last night at the Geelong Essendon game. No, what I'm going to talk about today is clash jumpers. Now, the AFL reckons that they're in place because we don't want to have teams, especially for TV viewers, where it's hard to tell which players are what and where, and what Guernsey they're all wearing. We don't want to have teams that look too similar to each other. Well, one of the things that I've noticed over the years, and I defy anyone to tell me any different, is that Carlton is more than happy to wear our away Guernsey, being the predominantly white Guernsey with the navy blue CFC logo and the navy blue numbers on the back, and the white shorts as well. And I think that's a really smart looking away Guernsey, I've got to say. I really think it looks clean and crisp, and they're basically the exact reverse colours to the navy blue Guernsey with the white CFC emblem and the white numbers on the back. But for some reason, and so I don't know why, maybe someone at the club can explain, when we play our traditional rivals in Collingwood, Essendon and today Richmond, despite the opposition having predominantly dark Guernseys and shorts, all three of those teams wear black shorts. Carlton still wears its navy blue Guernsey and has never worn the white away strip against Richmond or against Essendon or against Collingwood, ever. We'll wear it against Fremantle. We'll wear it against the Adelaide Crows. We'll wear it even against Brisbane, and we'll wear it against Port Adelaide, all these other teams. And St Kilda, there's another one that wears black shorts, but we just refuse to wear it against Collingwood, Richmond, or Essendon. Is there any reason for this? Because, frankly, at times I was watching the game out there today, and I couldn't tell who was who, because both teams had very dark Guernseys, and I know we had the white shorts, but when you've got a whole stack of players in a big scrum trying to fight for the ball, it's very, very hard to see who's who. And if it wasn't that little bit of yellow on the Richmond Guernsey, it'd be very, very hard to tell. So when we play Collingwood and when we play Port Adelaide, there's two sides that I find it very, very hard. Oh, thankfully against Port Adelaide, we do wear the white Guernsey, right? When it's a Port Adelaide versus Carlton game in Adelaide, we wear the white Guernsey. But if it's Collingwood, we don't. And if it's Richmond, we don't. And if it's Essendon, we don't. I don't understand it, but I think it's wrong, and I think we should be wearing that white away strip against everyone that has a dark coloured home Guernsey.
Yeah, but this is
when it's a Carlton away game, of course.
Yeah, but the problem is, Vince, is that the other teams don't abide by it. So
what are you talking about?
When does Collingwood wear an away strip?
They do.
Because Eddie says they don't need to.
No, they do. They have for home games, they wear a predominantly black jumper with the black back. So it's a black back with white numbers and black shorts. When Collingwood plays Carlton, on a Carlton home game, they wear a predominantly white Guernsey. They still have the black stripes, of course, but it's a white backing. It's a white backing with a black number and white shorts. It's very, very different Guernsey. It's a very, very different Guernsey.
What about when Hawthorn play North Melbourne? What are we going to do then? Or Hawthorn play Collingwood, or North play Collingwood? Hawthorn and North.
Well, actually,
and Collingwood.
North Melbourne and Collingwood played about 2 or 3 weeks ago in that game where North was up by 54 points and Collingwood came back to beat them by a point or whatever. Now, that was terrible, that game, because they both had the stripes.
That's what I'm saying. Why should we be the only ones? The AFL make a decision. You either clubs have a clash strip or you don't, right? It's like football in England. That you either have an away clash strip or you don't.
Every single football club in England has an away.
Yeah,
in fact, they even have 2 or 3 different Guernseys, depending on who they're playing.
What clash strip do all our clubs have? Sometimes they wear it, sometimes they don't. What I'm saying is you either have an away strip and a home strip, or you don't, right? Because it's a joke. Because they don't enforce it. Well, that's what I'm saying.
In my view, the home team should have its home Guernsey. Full stop.
Exactly, and the away team
should wear a Guernsey as dictated by the woke FL, okay, that does not clash with that home Guernsey. And in my view, when you've got two teams that have got predominantly dark Guernseys on, that's what we're trying to avoid. And I thought that today, the Carlton and Richmond game had 2 teams with both predominantly dark Guernseys.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The AFL should have said, or Carlton should have said, hey, we'll wear the white strip. But anyway, we'll go to it.
No, I reckon there must be a reason for it, and I can only come up with one theory, and that is that they want to wear the traditional navy blue against the 3 traditional rivals, Collingwood, Essendon, and Richmond. Otherwise, there's no other logical or sensible reason why we shouldn't have worn the all-white Guernsey today.
But that's Manchester United and Liverpool are both predominantly red, and they are big rivals. That's bigger than Carlton.
And they never both have red on the same
Exactly.
match.
Yeah, right. So anyway.
So are you agreeing with me then, or aren't you?
Yeah, I agree. But that's what I'm saying. They either make the teams wear it or they don't. Not this, I think I will. I think I might. Oh, no, it's too traditional a game. It's this, it's that. It's just crap. Yeah. Anyway, Vince, your Omen bet, guess what?
We lost on Sydney and Fremantle and Geelong and Essendon, but we won on all the others.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so this week...
It's pretty hard to win a 6-league multi these days.
I know. So this week...
Anyway, we got 4 out of 6 correct, but anyway, in the end, we lost our $13.50. So we're back to a balance of $140.
So this week?
So this week, we're going to put $20 on the line, and we're just going to back Carlton at the line. I reckon that's a good bet. Carlton to win by at least 4 points. At the moment, you can either back Carlton to win at $1.77 straight out, and that includes winning by 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. But if you're prepared to back Carlton to win by at least 4 points, you'll get $1.90 instead of $1.77. So that's what I've decided to do. Bet $20 at $1.90. Hopefully we get a payout of $38 this time next week.
And our current balance, as you said, we've won $40 for the year, which is better than last year. We'd lost it in about the first 3 weeks.
Oh, well, anyway, bit of fun.
Never mind.
And gamble responsibly out there, everyone, and make sure that you, don't bet what you can't afford. And as Joe would say, go hard or go home.
Exactly. Lana will agree. Get big or get out. Yeah. Bet the house. Put the house on Carlton this week, all right? Put
Carlton
the kids' houses. Put the kids' houses. Put them all.
Reece reckons Carlton by 26 and Joe reckons Carlton by 42. So there you go.
I'm happy to give 5 goals in. Vince, that brings us to the end of the show. But before we go, let's have a little bit of admin. This week coming up, we've got Tuesday night, we've got the Jumper Punch. Wednesday, we've got Forever Rivals. I think they did a Rocking the Burbs. I'm not 100% sure. Rocco was at work and then went to the football, so I left it out. Yeah. Thursday night, we've got our friends Sammy and Rash doing the change room. Great show for those people who
hello to Rash and Sam. They do a really good show on a Thursday. Yep.
And to the 3 boys at the Jumper Punch. Yes. And all the boys at Forever Rivals, which will be an interesting week this week because Carlton's the only one that won. So I think Rocco will be in fine voice on Wednesday night, Rocco. He's in fine voice whether we win, lose, or draw, to be honest. He's forever having a go at Manny and even have a crack at Mark. I think Quinn's the only one he's been taking it easy on because I think he almost feels sorry for Richmond the way they've been going. But anyway. Oh, I do too. And Vince, don't forget, on Sunday nights is the cream of the crop.
Us.
Our show.
Exactly right.
Like I said, as you all know, we are a social media show. So if you want to see us at Facebook, at Blue Sunday, please subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. You can also subscribe to at the Jumper Punch. They have you can subscribe and you can also, there's a free subscription. Oh, no, the subscribe is on the Facebook, on the YouTube, sorry. So at the Jumper Punch, I think they've got 3 packages, the Rocco, the Mars, and the Paolo. Have a look on there. Like, subscribe, share. We all appreciate it. And don't forget to see us next Sunday night, same bat time, same bat channel. And so for this week, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. And we'll see you this time next week.
And go those
Blues.
Mighty Blues.
You down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blue.